Welcome to our deep dive into the world of competitive strategy.
Ooh, sounds intense.
We're going to be tackling excerpts from Michael E.
Okay.
Porter's Competitive Strategy, a book that's been shaping business decisions for
Oh, wow.
decades.
Yeah.
Whether you're gearing up for a big meeting, refreshing your strategy knowledge, or just fascinated by how companies win.
Right.
This dive is for you.
Love it.
Published in 1980,
Wow, that's a while ago.
this book
Yeah.
still resonates today.
Interesting.
And it's a go-to for anyone trying to understand the dynamics of success and failure in business.
Yeah.
What makes this book so enduring
I know, right?
and relevant even in today's
Yeah.
fast-paced business world?
Well, Porter's work provides a framework,
Yeah,
almost like a set of blueprints
I like that.
for understanding the forces at play in any market. It's not just about what companies do,
Okay.
but about the underlying structure of the industry, the way
Yeah.
competitors interact, and the strategic choices they make.
So
Those insights are as valuable today as they were back then.
I completely agree. So let's dive into one of the most iconic parts of this framework.
Okay.
Porter's 5 forces.
Yes.
It's like a diagnostic tool,
Oh, cool.
helping us analyze the competitive landscape of any industry.
Right.
The first force
Right.
is the threat of new entrants. How does this force shape the competitive
Yeah.
dynamics of an industry?
Imagine you're trying to break into a market.
Okay.
If there are high barriers to entry,
Okay.
like needing massive manufacturing capacity to compete on price,
Right.
or battling against established brands that customers already trust, your chances of success are slim.
Oh, wow.
Take the mainframe computer industry in the 1960s.
Okay.
Giants like IBM dominated the market.
Right.
Companies like Xerox and GE tried to muscle in,
They did.
but they couldn't match the scale or brand recognition
Interesting.
and ultimately failed. That's the power of high barriers to entry.
Yeah.
They can make a market incredibly tough to crack.
So for companies already in the market,
Yeah.
high barriers to entry are a good thing, right?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
While high barriers might seem like a fortress,
Right.
they can sometimes lead to complacency.
Oh, I see.
Companies might become less innovative and responsive to customer needs,
Yeah.
making them vulnerable to disruption,
Especially with.
especially with the pace of technological change today.
So high barriers can be a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Interesting point. Now let's move on to the bargaining
Okay.
power of buyers. What's the dynamic here?
Think about this from your own experience.
Okay.
When you have many options to choose from,
Uh-huh.
you have more power as a buyer, right?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
can shop around for the best price,
Of course.
demand better quality, and even play different companies off against each other.
Wow, yeah.
In industries where buyers hold a lot of sway, companies have to work harder to keep them happy.
It's all about who holds the cards, isn't it?
Yeah,
And on the flip side, we have the bargaining power of suppliers.
exactly.
High gas prices are a pretty vivid
Yeah.
example of this in action.
When suppliers have a lot of leverage,
Yeah.
they can dictate terms, raise prices,
Yeah.
and even squeeze the profitability of entire industries.
It's true.
Think of how the chip shortage in recent years impacted everything,
Oh, yeah.
from cars to smartphones.
Wow.
The companies that relied on those chips had little choice but to accept the higher costs,
Right.
which ultimately trickled down to consumers.
Exactly. So understanding the power dynamics between buyers and suppliers is crucial for navigating the competitive landscape.
I agree.
What about the threat of substitutes?
Ooh, good one.
How does this force come into play?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Sometimes competition comes not from direct rivals, but from companies offering products or services that fulfill the same need in a different way.
Oh, interesting.
Porter uses the example of the watch industry
Okay.
and the rise of digital watches.
Right.
Suddenly, traditional watchmakers weren't just competing with each other,
Yeah.
but with a whole new technology,
Interesting.
offering similar functionality
Makes sense.
at a lower cost.
Wow.
The landscape changed completely.
That's a great example of how innovation can completely shake up an industry.
Totally.
And finally, we have the most obvious force,
Yeah.
rivalry among existing competitors.
Yes.
This seems like the most straightforward of the 5, wouldn't you say?
It might seem that way, but
Wow.
the dynamics of rivalry can be surprisingly complex.
Oh, right.
The intensity of competition depends on factors,
Okay.
like the number of competitors, their relative size and power,
Great.
the growth rate of the industry,
Oh, okay.
and even the level of differentiation between products or services.
So even in a crowded market, if companies can carve out a unique niche or offer something truly different.
Exactly.
They can mitigate some of the pressures
Yes.
of intense rivalry.
Precisely.
It's not just about being in the game, it's about playing it strategically.
Totally agree.
This has been a fantastic breakdown of the 5 forces.
I know, right?
We've seen how each force shapes the competitive landscape and how understanding these forces can help businesses make smarter decisions.
Absolutely.
Now let's move on to the core of Porter's framework,
I'm excited.
his 3 generic strategies
Yes.
for achieving competitive advantage. This is where it gets really exciting.
I agree.
These strategies provide a roadmap for businesses to chart a course to success.
Love it.
The first strategy is cost leadership.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a cost leader?
Well,
And what are some of the
yeah.
challenges and benefits?
Being a cost leader isn't just about cutting corners.
Okay,
It's about relentless efficiency,
I see.
smart cost controls,
Right.
and often leveraging economies of scale.
Think of companies like Walmart or Southwest Airlines.
Okay.
They've built their success on offering competitive prices while maintaining acceptable levels of quality and service.
Porter uses Briggs & Stratton as an example in the book,
Oh, yeah.
a company that achieved dominance in the small engine market by mastering cost leadership. What are some of the pitfalls of this strategy?
One of the biggest dangers is getting so focused on cost
Okay.
that you neglect other important factors,
Yeah.
like innovation or customer experience.
Sure.
Also, technological advancements can sometimes erode cost advantages,
Interesting.
forcing cost leaders to constantly adapt and find new ways to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a constant race to the bottom then.
It can be, but it can also be a very effective way to capture market share and build a sustainable business.
Now let's talk about the second generic strategy,
Okay.
differentiation. This one seems like the polar opposite of cost leadership.
In a way, it is.
Okay.
Differentiation is about offering something unique.
That customers value and are willing to pay a premium for.
Right.
It could be superior quality,
Yeah.
a strong brand, innovative features,
Yeah.
or exceptional customer service.
Okay.
Think of Apple, known for its sleek design and user-friendly products.
Yeah.
Or a company like Tesla,
Right.
which has disrupted the automotive industry with its focus on electric vehicles and cutting-edge technology.
So while a cost leader might win on price,
Yeah.
a differentiator wins on perceived value.
Exactly.
It's about creating a distinct position in the market that sets you apart from the competition.
I like that.
The final strategy is focus.
Okay.
This seems pretty self-explanatory, but I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye.
Focus is about concentrating on a specific niche,
Okay.
a particular customer group,
Got it.
a specialized product line,
Right.
or a narrowly defined geographic market.
Okay.
By focusing your efforts,
Mm-hmm.
you gain a deep understanding of your target market's needs.
Yeah.
And can tailor your offerings accordingly.
So it's about becoming a big fish in a small pond,
Exactly.
rather than trying to compete in the vast ocean.
Porter provides several examples of successful, focused companies demonstrating the power of specialization.
This has been a fascinating exploration of Porter's 3 generic strategies.
I agree.
But there's a crucial caveat, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Something about getting stuck in the middle.
Porter warns against trying to do all 3 at once.
Oh,
Trying to be all things to all people can dilute your efforts.
right.
And leave you vulnerable to competitors who are more focused and efficient.
So choose your strategy wisely and commit to it.
Yeah.
This brings us to another key concept in Porter's work,
Okay.
competitor analysis.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just know your own business.
Right.
You need to understand your rivals as well, right?
Absolutely.
Competitor analysis goes beyond simply observing what your competitors are doing. It's about understanding their motivations, their goals,
Right.
and their underlying capabilities.
So we need to delve into their minds.
It's like a strategic game of chess, wouldn't you say?
That's a great analogy.
By understanding your competitors' strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
you can identify opportunities to exploit their vulnerabilities or develop strategies to counter their moves.
Exactly.
Porter provides the cautionary tale of Gerber Products,
Yeah.
a company that assumed birth rates would continue to rise even as the data suggested otherwise.
Right.
This miscalculation had a significant impact on their business.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that competitor analysis is about more than just observing.
Right.
It's about analyzing and interpreting information to make informed decisions.
I agree.
And speaking of information, competitors are constantly sending out signals
Uh-huh.
through their actions,
Yeah.
what Porter calls market signals. Can you elaborate on this concept?
Market signals are like clues that companies leave behind, revealing their intentions and strategies. It could be a sudden price change,
Right.
a new product launch, a shift in marketing messaging,
Interesting.
or even an acquisition.
So it's about reading between the lines,
Yes.
deciphering the hidden messages
Exactly.
behind their actions.
By paying attention to these signals,
Right.
you can anticipate your competitors' next moves and adapt your own strategy accordingly.
This has been an insightful exploration of competitor analysis and market signals.
I think so too.
But let's not forget about another crucial concept that Porter highlights.
Okay.
Mobility barriers.
Yes, mobility barriers are the factors that make it difficult for companies to switch strategic groups.
Oh, okay.
Think of them as defensive walls,
Oh, interesting.
protecting a company's position within an industry.
So if a company wants to move from a low-cost strategy
Yeah.
to a differentiation strategy,
Right.
it might encounter significant challenges due to these mobility barriers.
Exactly.
High mobility barriers can protect a company's profitability, but they can also create inertia,
Yes.
making it harder to adapt to changing market conditions.
It's a delicate balance between stability and flexibility.
Finally, let's touch on the concept
Okay.
of industry evolution.
Yeah.
How does this factor into competitive strategy?
Industries go through distinct phases.
Okay.
Emergence, growth, maturity, and decline.
Right.
Each with its own unique challenges and opportunities.
Yeah.
Understanding where your industry is in this cycle is crucial
I bet.
for making informed strategic choices.
It's about adapting your strategy to the changing dynamics of the market.
Precisely.
For example, a company might focus on innovation and market share growth
Yeah.
in the early stages of an industry, but shift towards cost efficiency and consolidation as the industry matures.
Right.
So the same strategy won't work in every stage of an industry's life cycle.
Exactly.
This has been a fantastic deep dive
Yes.
into the core concepts of Porter's competitive strategy. But this is just the beginning.
Oh, cool.
In part 2 of our deep dive,
All right.
we'll explore some real-world examples of how these concepts play out in action, so stay tuned.
Ready to dive into some real-world applications of these concepts.
Absolutely. In this part of our deep dive, I'm eager to explore how these concepts translate into actual business decisions.
Okay.
Porter talks a lot about strategic groups.
Yes.
Can you explain what he means by that and why it matters?
Strategic groups are clusters of companies
Rook.
within an industry that share similar approaches to competition.
Got it.
For example, in the auto industry,
Go ahead.
you have groups focused on low cost, mass market vehicles,
Right.
another on luxury cars,
Okay.
and yet another on high performance sports cars.
Interesting.
Each group competes on different dimensions,
Okay.
appealing to different customer segments,
Right.
and operating under distinct cost structures.
So it's about understanding the different playing fields
Exactly.
within an industry.
And recognizing that not all competition is equal.
Right.
Companies within the same strategic group
Yeah.
are vying for the same customers, often with similar products and price points,
Mm-hmm.
leading to more direct and intense rivalry.
This reminds me of the mobility barriers we discussed earlier.
Yes.
It wouldn't be easy for a budget-focused car manufacturer
Right.
to suddenly jump into the luxury segment, would it?
Precisely, mobility barriers.
Yeah.
Those factors that make it difficult to switch strategic groups play a crucial role in shaping industry dynamics.
Interesting.
These barriers can be based on things like brand reputation,
Right.
technology,
Okay.
manufacturing capabilities, or even distribution networks.
Wow, so many factors.
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
Trying to break into a new strategic group
Yeah?
is like trying to climb a steep hill,
Okay.
while companies already at the top have the advantage of gravity on their side.
That's a great analogy.
So understanding these strategic groups and the barriers between them can help companies make more informed decisions about where to compete
Right.
and how to position themselves for success.
Now, let's say a company wants to make a strategic move, either offensively or defensively,
Okay.
to improve their position.
Yeah.
What are some key factors to consider?
The first step is always to thoroughly analyze your competitors.
Okay.
What are their goals?
Mm-hmm.
What assumptions are they operating under?
Okay.
What are their true capabilities?
Right.
And where are their weaknesses?
That's a lot to consider.
This goes beyond just looking at their financial statements.
Okay.
It requires gathering intelligence from various sources,
Got it.
understanding their culture
Right.
and decision-making processes, and even anticipating how they might react to your moves.
This brings us back to that game of chess analogy.
I know, it's so true.
You need to think several moves ahead, anticipating how your actions will ripple through the competitive landscape.
Exactly, and timing is everything.
Oh, interesting.
Can you move swiftly and decisively
Okay.
before your competitors have a chance to react?
Right.
Or are there built-in delays in their systems that give you a window of opportunity?
So important.
Think of how companies like Amazon have used their logistical prowess to launch new products or services quickly,
Right.
putting pressure on slower-moving rivals.
Porter highlights how companies have used timing to their advantage. Launching a product right before a competitor, or preemptively expanding capacity to deter new entrants.
Yes.
Those are some bold moves.
Absolutely. Timing can be a powerful weapon in the competitive arsenal.
But it's not just about speed.
Right.
It's also about understanding the rhythm of the market.
I agree.
Sometimes a well-timed pause, waiting for the right moment to strike, can be more effective than a rushed attack.
So we've talked about analyzing competitors and timing your moves.
Right.
What about the other side of the equation?
Okay.
The buyers.
Porter devotes a whole section to buyer selection. What's the key insight here?
It's a crucial concept.
Right.
Not all buyers are created equal.
Right.
Some are more profitable than others.
That makes sense.
Some are more demanding, and some are more loyal.
The key is to identify those good buyers.
Exactly.
The ones who are less price sensitive.
Right.
Who truly value what you offer and who are more likely to stick with you over the long term.
This resonates with the idea of focusing on a specific niche. Becoming an expert in serving a particular type of customer.
And there are many factors to consider when making these choices.
How large are their purchase volumes?
Okay.
How fast is their demand growing?
Got it.
Do they have specific needs that you can uniquely address? And how much bargaining power do they have?
Ah, yes, the power dynamics again.
Right. If a buyer has a lot of options,
Yeah.
they can play suppliers off against each other, demanding lower prices or more favorable terms.
But if you offer something truly unique and valuable,
Exactly.
you can shift that balance of power in your favor.
This ties back to the idea of differentiation. The more you can stand out from the crowd, the more you can control the terms of engagement.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about industry evolution.
Yes, as we discussed earlier, industries go through different phases.
Right.
Each with its own set of challenges and opportunities.
Yes, it's like a natural life cycle, isn't it?
I agree.
From the excitement of the emerging phase to the consolidation and potential decline in later stages. Can you walk us through these phases in more detail?
Of course, in the emerging phase, there's a lot of experimentation.
Okay.
Rapid innovation.
Got it.
And often a gold rush mentality.
Right.
As new companies enter the market.
So exciting.
Growth rates are high, but there's also a lot of uncertainty and risk.
Oh, wow.
Think of the early days of the internet.
Right.
Or the rise of smartphones.
Yeah.
There was a sense of boundless possibility, but also a lot of failures along the way.
It's a wild ride, for sure.
Yeah.
Then things start to settle down as the industry matures, right?
Exactly, as the industry matures.
Yeah.
A dominant design or technology often emerges.
Interesting.
And growth rates slow
as
the market becomes more saturated.
Yeah.
Competition can intensify, and the focus shifts from capturing market share to defending it.
This is where those mobility barriers become even more crucial, right?
Absolutely.
Companies that have established strong positions are often able to hold their ground while weaker players might struggle to survive.
Precisely, this phase is about optimizing operations.
Okay.
Building brand loyalty.
Got it.
And finding ways to differentiate yourself from the competition. It's about staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Anticipating customer needs. And constantly innovating.
To maintain your competitive edge. And eventually, many industries enter a decline phase.
Yes. This phase can be challenging.
Okay.
Demand might shrink. Competition can become even more cutthroat.
Oh, wow.
Profits might dwindle.
Managing a declining business requires making tough choices. Whether to exit the market, consolidate with other players, or find niche segments where there's still some demand.
This idea of industry evolution underscores how crucial it is for businesses to constantly adapt their strategies to the changing dynamics of the market.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
That's a key takeaway. What works in one phase might not work in another.
So true.
Flexibility and strategic agility are essential for long-term success.
This has been an insightful exploration
I agree.
of how Porter's concepts play out in real-world situations.
We've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
from strategic groups
Right.
and competitive moves to buyer selection and industry evolution.
It's fascinating to see how these seemingly abstract ideas translate
Right.
into tangible business decisions.
Okay.
But we're not done yet in the final part of our deep dive.
Oh, wow.
We'll tackle the unique challenges of competing in fragmented industries and global markets. So stay with us. We've covered a lot of ground already.
It's been a journey.
Exploring Porter's framework
Yeah.
for analyzing industries and competition.
I'm loving it.
Now, I'm curious to delve into some specific scenarios.
Okay.
What about those industries where there's no clear leader,
Right.
where competition is fierce
Yeah.
and fragmented? Porter calls these fragmented industries.
Makes sense.
What are some of the unique challenges and opportunities in these markets?
Fragmented industries are like vast, sprawling landscapes with countless players,
Got it.
each vying for a piece of the pie.
How many players?
Think of restaurants, retail shops, or even professional services.
Right.
No single company holds a dominant position.
Wow.
And competition can be incredibly intense.
It sounds like a constant battle for survival.
Yeah.
How do companies even begin to navigate this kind of environment?
One of the keys to success in a fragmented industry is finding a way to overcome the fragmentation,
Right.
even if it's just in a small part of the market.
I see.
This might involve specializing in a particular product or service,
Okay.
focusing on a specific customer niche,
Got it.
or even just carving out a strong local presence.
Right.
The goal is to become the go-to expert in your chosen area,
Yeah.
the provider that customers can't find anywhere else.
It's about creating a sense of distinction,
Exactly.
even in a crowded market.
Porter mentions a company that specializes in repairing small engines
Oh, yeah.
by focusing on this niche.
Right.
They've built a reputation for expertise,
I see.
attracting customers who are willing to pay a premium for their specialized knowledge.
That's a great example of how focus can lead to success in a fragmented industry.
I agree.
Another approach is to emphasize operational efficiency.
Okay.
Since margins are often thin in these markets,
Right.
keeping costs low is crucial.
Makes sense.
This might involve streamlining processes, negotiating favorable deals with suppliers,
or even just being incredibly disciplined
Yeah.
about managing overhead.
So it's not just about finding a niche.
Right.
It's about running a lean and mean operation.
What other strategies does Porter highlight
Let me think.
for thriving in these competitive environments?
He emphasizes the importance of strategic discipline.
Okay.
It's easy to get distracted by new opportunities
Yeah.
in a fragmented market,
True.
but spreading yourself too thin can be disastrous.
Right.
You need to have a clear focus and stick to it,
I see.
even if it means saying no
Yeah.
to some tempting possibility.
It's about resisting the urge to chase every shiny object that comes along.
Exactly. Focus and discipline are essential for cutting through the noise and achieving sustainable success in a fragmented market.
This has been a valuable look into the dynamics of fragmented industries.
For sure.
Now let's shift our focus to another challenging landscape:
Okay.
global competition.
Globalization has dramatically reshaped the competitive landscape.
In what companies are no longer limited by geographical boundaries,
Right.
they can source materials from anywhere, manufacture products in the most cost-effective locations,
Interesting.
and sell to customers all over the world.
So many possibilities.
This creates tremendous opportunities, but also intense competition.
It's a whole new ballgame with higher stakes.
Absolutely. One of the key drivers of globalization is the pursuit of economies of scale
Okay.
by expanding into new markets.
Right.
Companies can spread their fixed costs over a larger production volume,
Okay.
which can lower their per unit costs significantly.
Wow.
Think of how companies like Toyota or Samsung have built global empires by leveraging economies of scale.
It's like the bigger your factory,
Yeah.
the cheaper each product becomes to make.
Exactly. And global companies can also benefit from what's called global sourcing,
Okay, what's that?
taking advantage of lower labor costs
Got it.
or more favorable access to raw materials in different parts of the world.
Interesting.
This can give them a significant cost advantage over their competitors.
So globalization can be a powerful force for lowering costs and increasing efficiency.
Right.
But it also presents some unique challenges, doesn't it?
Of course, one of the biggest hurdles
Okay.
is the need to adapt to different cultures,
Right.
languages, and consumer preferences.
Yeah.
A product that's a hit in one country might flop in another
Makes sense.
if it's not tailored to the local market.
So true.
Marketing campaigns, product designs,
Yeah.
and even business practices
Wow.
might need to be adjusted
Right.
to resonate with customers in different parts of the world.
This makes marketing and branding much more complex.
Yes.
Requiring a deep understanding of cultural nuances
Right.
and local preferences.
Absolutely. And then there's the challenge of navigating government regulations
Uh-oh.
and trade barriers.
That sounds tricky.
Each country has its own set of rules and regulations, which can create a lot of complexity
Makes sense.
and add to your costs.
Oh, wow.
And there's always the risk of political instability or currency fluctuations,
Sure.
which can disrupt your operations and impact your bottom line.
So globalization is not for the faint of heart.
It's definitely challenging.
It requires a different mindset
Yes.
and a willingness to adapt to a constantly changing global landscape.
It certainly does. But for companies that can navigate these complexities successfully,
Right.
the rewards can be enormous.
Like what?
Access to markets,
Okay.
increased efficiency, and a diversified revenue stream
Wow.
can create significant competitive advantages.
This has been a whirlwind tour
It has been fun.
of Michael E. Porter's competitive strategy.
So many great insights.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the 5 forces to the 3 generic strategies
right?
to the unique challenges of competing in fragmented and global industries.
It's been a great deep dive.
It's been fascinating.
I agree.
What are your key takeaways from our deep dive?
I'm struck by how timeless Porter's insights are.
Yeah,
Even though the book was written decades ago,
I know.
the principles he outlines are still incredibly relevant in today's business world.
His framework provides a powerful lens for understanding the forces that shape competition,
Absolutely.
and his strategies offer a roadmap for achieving success.
I agree. The 5 forces is a valuable tool for analyzing any industry,
Yeah.
regardless of its specific characteristics.
Oh, true.
And the 3 generic strategies provide a clear set of choices
Right.
for how to position your business for competitive advantage.
So how can our listener apply these insights to their own business challenges?
That's the big question.
What's the key message you want them to take away from this deep dive?
Porter argues that simply having the lowest cost isn't always the best strategy.
Right.
Sometimes differentiation,
Yeah.
focus, or a combination of approaches
Interesting.
is the key to building a truly sustainable competitive advantage.
So many different ways to win.
The most important thing is to understand the dynamics of your industry,
Okay.
analyze your competitors, and choose a strategic path
Right.
that aligns with your company's strengths and the needs of your target market.
So the key is to think strategically, make informed choices,
Yes.
and be adaptable in the face of a constantly evolving competitive landscape.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into Michael E. Porter's competitive strategy. Thanks for joining us.